Good evening. We are here tonight with Winter High School head football coach Dan Aaker. And coach, let's go back a couple weeks to the Bonham game. I think your overall execution was very good, and your key points for that game were met well. With the exception of two big plays, your lines really dominated the line of scrimmage. What was the aspect that you felt like your team took a big step forward from game one to game two?
Well, I think offensively, Bonham was probably was the first team that really kind of mixed up fronts on us, and we worked on that hard. And with have kind of an inexperienced offensive line, a lot of things change blocking wise, but just subtle changes of a line adjustment or blitzes, and that takes time to figure out. I thought we made a nice step forward and communicated and recognizing that stuff up front, and that's something that has to take place every week because we see so many different types of defenses or things that try to stop what we're doing. Communication and recognizing how we're going to execute that was big. So I saw a nice step forward at that. Defensively, obviously, I thought coming out of the Chamberlain game, we really needed to work on let's recognize formations and let's get in the line. And that's if we're not in line right, we're going to have a hard time. And one thing that Bonham brought for a challenge is they ran so many formations and so many receivers out there. I thought we did a pretty good job. We didn't see a couple times maybe we were running around a little bit, but compared to the Chamberlain game where it seemed like, which wasn't that complicated of an offense, we had linebackers and secondary running all over the place. So I like that mental part of it that we adjusted to from week one to week two, and that again is kind of a process. But I thought those two things probably stuck out the most.
I guess really with the exception of the long Corton run, tackling was real well.
Yeah,
too.
that's got to be a focus every week, and they brought a challenge because of pursuit angles, and you can tell our guys how fast they are, but we can't simulate that. I mean, we have some pretty speedy guys too, but most of those are doing the drills, trying to work on that, and that was probably the comment we had a couple of them after we gave up the run. That was a missed tackle and poor angles, period. Not to take anything away from the athlete that made the run, but it shouldn't have happened, and the response was, oh yeah, he is fast. Yeah, right, that's what we said. So.
Coach, you had Nick Hossel over 100 yards the first game. Tyrell Haley topped that benchmark in the second game. Really, you got four players in that backfield who on any given night can have that big night for you. That's got to make you feel good calling plays, right?
Yeah, that is nice, and it even goes deeper than four if we wanted to. I mean, Riley Frazier's been in there at fullback, and Tyrell's moved a little wing back. We really wouldn't hesitate to go in Windsor Berry or Cameron Kyle, and Nate is a really good running quarterback, strong running quarterback with decent speed. So he's just another running back there for us too. You can kind of go with maybe who's got the hot hand that night or what plays are working best, and that's kind of what we do. I don't really, in your back of your mind, you always try to keep the carries pretty even and keep it balanced. But sometimes you look at the stats afterward and going, holy cow, I gave him the ball a lot. But it makes it tough on defenses too, and they all bring a unique, different style to it. So yeah, it's a good problem to have to spread that well.
Tonight's opponent is Valentine Badgers. This is our longest consecutive opponent. We played the Badgers every year all the way back to 1960 and many times before that. Your Warriors have won 7 in a row against them. What's the aspect of a rivalry game like this that makes it fun for you as a coach?
Well, this one in particular, I think, means a lot to me because, quite honestly, they were the one team that we couldn't get in my first 5 years here. Every other team we've been able to manage a W against, and so it came really more of a preparation thing from a personal aspect. This one's a little unique, I think, because I don't know if our kids really interact much with the Valentine kids, so that kind of takes the different life of maybe a truer rival. You see them on the basketball court, that it gets pretty rough and physical. I don't know if they really, I wouldn't say they're enemies or anything, but we just don't really probably get along that well, and it turns into a physical game, and both teams really want it, and I think both communities really want it. So it's one of those games where I think you can truly probably throw out the record a lot of times because it's just going to matter of both teams are going to play hard. And that rivalry, if you look at the history of it, went back and forth a lot, and then it went in streaks here. They got 7 in a row, now we've got the last 7, and obviously from our end, we want to keep that going, and they want to break it. So it really, sets up, I think, for a really good game again this week.
Valentine is led by Jacob Hand, a very dynamic player. He's their leading ball carrier, receiver, and also their leader in the return game, a 3-year starter. With players like Hand, Corton from Bonham, west of Ork from Parkston on your schedule. You see some real gifted returners. How do you feel about your kick and punt coverage thus far?
Well, I thought we did a pretty good job against Bonham without question, but we weren't going to kick to him either. I think tonight I don't know if we'll shy away from him unless he shows us that it'll take one for us to stop doing that. But that's the nice thing about when you have a lot of kids out and maybe some underclassmen that are fighting for positions, because they really take pride in that special teams. And we've got good athletes at that age too, that we can get starters off, and those guys can get in there and kind of prove themselves. I've been very happy with our coverage teams, but we got to be smart about it as well. And we've never really, since I've been here, had a kicker that'll consistently kick it through the end zone. We just haven't had it. We work a little bit on trying to, pick spots, but that doesn't always work either. So it's important that we get the coverage down there. But a big part of it is you got to be smart and try not to put yourself in situations where guys like that can, really hurt you.
In the past few seasons, Valentine has really packed the box with 9 or 10 guys around the ball. They prefer to play a blitzing 4-4 most of the time against you. What do we expect to see tonight from the Badgers on offense and defense?
Offensively, similar to what they've been doing, other than, they were in the pistol the last 3-4 years, and then now that Coach Bebout took over, traditionally under center with a lot of I twins, trap, counter, option, and some play action. And they're different than Bonham, where Bonham would throw. We had to prepare for so many different formations. Not a lot of formations tonight. I think they kind of do similar to what we do. We don't have to do a lot, but try to be good at what you do. Big up front, and we'll be the best line we've seen. So we've got to be really disciplined defensively and they pull almost on every play. Linebackers have gotten better at that, but we're going to have to really be good at following our pulls and taking us to the play. And then, your right hand is a very strong runner, and he gets the ball a lot, and they want to go to him, not only handing it off, but on screens. So we're going to have to tackle there. And you're also right offensively. Defensively, they like their 4-4, but they'll bring backers a lot. So that kind of goes back to what we talked about when our offensive line, getting their eyes up and seeing that and making those line calls. And we've worked a lot on that the last week and a half, really just turning the house on them and making our guys understand where they're coming and make the appropriate line calls. But the big thing offensively is understanding where the point of attack is and make your blocks, and then we'll go from there. But they're a solid team.
Should be a fun one. Quickly, Coach, freshman and JV teams both seem to be off pretty solid starts. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in the sub-varsity squads and who's working their way up their ladder from those underclassmen?
Start with the freshmen. I've been really impressed with them from day one of their willingness to jump into drills and the team and just stick their head in there. And that's from top to bottom. All 14 of them have done a really good job. And I think that Ty Bolton and Levi McClanahan have actually still come over quite a bit during our team period and get some experience with our older guys. JV level, we really expect to be a pretty darn good JV team with our sophomores we have there. Some of them are getting some varsity action already. Jordan Turgeon, Chet Bryan. We do play Drew at quarterback because he needs a rep. We don't play him in defense. But Cameron Kyle, Caleb Brozig, Wyatt Ewing. There's a lot of guys that have, got our notice. And if you see Friday nights, we've got a set rotation, and a lot of those guys are getting in and getting playing time. And that's just making them better and us better at both levels.
Last question. What's the personality this team seems to be developing for you this season?
Well, I think most years really kind of take after what the seniors are like, and I'm kind of a big proponent of putting a lot of pressure on our seniors as leaders and kind of leaving their mark and what are you going to add to the tradition of winter football. That being said, if you know that this year's seniors, you would probably know that the practice has been kind of fun, maybe a little more laid back than I would like at times. But what I like about that senior class is they're competitors and they will compete. Sometimes they need to be reminded at times of the seriousness of every minute, but it's kind of fun to have sometimes jokes and stuff at practice, get to know them a little bit better. So, kind of a fun personality this year with those guys. But like I said, they know when it's time to be competitive, and that's what they are. They really compete hard. especially in games. So it's been a fun year so far.
Great. Well, good luck tonight against the Badgers, and let's go get another W.
All right, thanks.